Now let's move on to writing an offer. So congratulations, you found a home that you love, and now you actually want to write an offer on it to say to the seller, I would love to purchase your home for this price and these terms, and see if they accept it or not. There's a few things that we can negotiate. It's more than just the price. But number one is price. It's not just that the seller offered it for $985,000 and you're going to offer $970,000 for it. You can also negotiate timeline. You can negotiate where you want to sign the purchase and sale agreement in that timeline, and then what is your closing date on the home. Some sellers may want to close quickly. Some may be waiting for their own home purchase to go through on their side, so they might need a little bit more time. That is something your agent should, find out before submitting the offer so that they can make your offer the most attractive. The other thing you can negotiate are the contingencies, and there are many of them. First of which is financing. Is it a cash offer, or are you going to be getting a mortgage? What type of financing you'll use is going to be included in your contract, and therefore in your offer. So that's one contingency. Another contingency is your inspection. Will you have an inspector come through the property and tell you all of the little nuances that might need to be fixed or attention needed? And then you would ask the seller if they would be willing to make repairs before the closing. And those are things that will get negotiated between the offer and the purchase and sale agreement. Another thing that would be negotiated is, are you asking for any seller credits toward closing, or credit to help pay for your buyer's agent? That's something else that you can negotiate along with your inspection and your financing. Another thing you can mention is if you're willing to pay above the appraised cost, if the appraised value comes in a little bit lower, then your mortgage wouldn't cover that and you'd have to pay the difference. That's something else you can negotiate and put in your offer. You can even include personal items. Talk with your agent about the logistics of that, because you can put that in an offer to the seller. And they may be willing to sell some things or include some things that are in their home. The seller may counter with another offer or accept the offer, and then you move forward on how it's presented. They might come back and say, we'll do this contract, we like everything, but instead of doing a $3,000 closing cost credit, we want to do 0 closing cost credit. And then you would come back, the counter offer would come back to you, and you would choose whether or not to accept it. If you decide to accept it, an earnest money deposit is sent. All parties must sign the contract, and then it becomes binding, and we move forward toward a purchase and sale agreement. Keep in mind, when you're putting an offer forth, it's not just a thing that we practice doing. Oh, I'm going to put in a practice offer. You're bound to the terms and what you're committing to. So you don't want to just play around with pretend offers. If you really want to win in a competitive market, don't act like you don't want the house. Like if you're dating someone or you're in a relationship and you like the person, you're not going to benefit from just sitting back and being like, oh, well, I kind of like you. How is that going to progress for you? You want to tell someone, you want to communicate with them. I like spending time with you. I enjoy you. That's how you progress a relationship forward. And the same thing goes with writing an offer. If you're interested in the home, you need to communicate that interest through the offer. So I've had clients before that are like, I really, 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 really want this house, but I really want to lowball it by $50,000. That's not going to put you in a good position to get the house. So you should always ask your agent how you can make the offer more competitive. There may be little things you can do in the contract, like shortening contingency dates, reducing the inspection threshold, and ask your agent about that, what you're willing to pay for if there are issues in the inspection, maybe limiting the warranty if it's a new construction. There are lots of things you can do to make your offer more attractive. Some people ask about writing a love letter about the home to sellers. You can consider that, but it has to be compliant. It's basically a letter where you're telling the seller, communicating with them why you love the house and why you want to purchase it. But again, it has to be in compliance with fair housing regulations, fair housing laws. Talk to your agent about this. But essentially, you're going to have to stay away from anything personal about yourself, like your race, your background, whether or not you're married, do you have children, do you have a family? Those things can't be included in a letter. Things you have to stick with are just details about the home itself. Talk to your agent about whether or not a letter like this that's compliant is necessary. Finally, another thing you can do to make your offer more attractive is ask your lender to call the listing agent. Oftentimes, sellers and agents get multiple offers coming in. And a big question the seller has is, with these offers, are we going to make sure this financing doesn't fall through? Because that can happen. It happens a lot. If your lender then calls the listing agent to communicate with them, obviously, they can't share anything, personal details about you or your finances, but they can communicate, like, we have all of their documents, we've done a full pre-approval, we've checked that everything is good to go on this person, they're solid on their finances, and your offer is going to stand out more than any other offers if your lender does that, especially if other lenders for other buyers don't call at all. So those are some ways you can really create an attractive offer and potentially win your new home.